Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Really great to have you back, and I'm really glad that some of you are finding value from some of the videos that I've done. As you know, I just thought I would jump onto YouTube and do a couple of videos for families that are also relocating, because a lot of the content I was finding when I was moving was more single people, more couples, and I kind of needed to understand the relocation from a family perspective. So I do hope that it's able to do some good for you. Now, I've had a lot of questions come in to me directly and on my comments, and I thought it would be good to do a Q&A just to answer some of those. So I'll take them one by one, starting with the first question. That is, how much time was it between the job offer and the move? So I said in a previous video that I did move over here for a job, but also for my son's education, just to give him a better education and a bit more sunshine and outside space and a bit more cultural variance. And so, yeah, between getting the job offer, which was amazing, it was early December that I got the job offer. And then by middle of January, we were moving. So that's 6 weeks in between getting a job offer and physically just moving our whole lives over here to the Middle East. So yeah, it was a bit of a whirlwind. It would be nice to have a bit more time. But also, on the other hand, if you take too much time, you can kind of talk yourself out of it a little bit with that whole fear of the unknown. So yeah, I do think that it was 6 weeks, but it's probably the perfect amount of time for us anyway. Next question is there anything that I would do differently? Yes, one of the things that I would do differently is I'll probably spend not as much time online trying to decide what school the kids are going to go to, what area we're going to live in before we even get here in person and see the areas. Like after coming over and visiting the areas, it's almost like it doesn't matter how nice a property looks on the internet. It doesn't matter how nice a school looks. You have to go in and get the feel. Does the environment, does the vibe, does it match myself, my family, my kids? Will they enjoy it here? Will they thrive here? And you kind of, and you know that when you meet the teachers, you do a tour, you think about if they fit in. And similarly with the home, you kind of need the whole environment, like the area, the leading up to the property, what's it like, of the building or whatever it may be. You kind of need to know the lifestyle that goes with it. So yeah, for me, that's what I would do differently, is not be too hard and fast on making a decision way before actually seeing things in person. Seeing things in person is the best way to do this, definitely. Okay, another question was, were you renting or did you have a mortgage in the UK? If the latter, what did you do with your home? We were renting immediately before coming here, so it made our relocation really easy. We had already sold prior to that because we were thinking of moving and we didn't want to be stuck. But since you asked that question about the latter, I assume that means that you actually want to know what happens if you do have a mortgage and what to do with it. You've got a couple of options, okay? So from a real estate perspective, as some of you know, I have a background of real estate for the past 12 years. If you are wanting to just sell the property, use the money for the relocation, then of course you have the option to do that. But you are just subject to the sales market, how busy it is, if you're going to find the price that you kind of need to make it tenable for you. If you are wanting to hold on to the asset, then there's two things you can do. You can either remortgage, which means you can take money out of the property. Obviously, you need to speak to a mortgage advisor about this because you need to still keep equity in the property. But if you remortgage, take money out, you can also change your mortgage to a buy-to-let mortgage, as an example, and then get a tenant to come in and live in that property, which is a third option. So a tenant can come in and live in the property and therefore pay the rent, which hopefully will cover the mortgage. Someone else is paying your mortgage off for you, and they could do that whether you remortgage or not. You can, apply to change your mortgage to a buy-to-let mortgage either way. So it's good to think about what do you want to happen in the coming years, and that will hopefully help you to make a decision now. What would I do if I was in that position? I would change my mortgage to a buy-to-let. I would get a tenant in the property paying rent, and I would take money out to help me and support me with the relocation. So I hope that answers the question. The next question is, how is pick up and drop off after school? So yeah, pick up and drop off I feel like it's the same as like the UK for me, in terms of you've got a window of time, like 15 minutes to drop your kids off. So everyone's at the school gates at the same time, and then pick up, everyone's at the school gates at the same time. It's like the same thing. There are also after school clubs if you want your kids to do that. So it's pretty similar. It's just that I think we get 20 minutes of a gap for drop off. But in Dubai, a lot of people drive. So there are a lot of cars, a lot of people trying to park, drop their kids off and come back. But it is really intense for like all of 20 minutes, and then it's actually fine. Traffic everywhere again is fine, but I am I'm not right in the center of town. I'm a little bit further out, so because of that, I'm sure that does impact traffic as well. Traffic isn't an issue for me, drop off or pick up at all. Next question was Testation for non-UK marriages. Were you able to do everything remotely, or did you have to travel? This is a really great question. Testation, we were actually married in Ghana. So we had to get the Ghana consulate, I think I'm saying this the right way, to basically attest the document there. And then the Ghanaian embassy here in the UAE had to also have a part to play in the attestation. So it was in whatever country you were married in needs to attest it, but then that country also has some base here in the UAE, and it also has to be verified there. So it kind of goes from there to here and then to you for you to come and collect it. It kind of took altogether 4 weeks, I would say. It wasn't long. It was just it's actually the home country that can take a long time. So depending on where you actually got married, like sorting out the attestation in that country, depending on how slow that process is, that's what will hold it up. But the actual process itself is a pretty straightforward one. So we used a company, which I will put in the description, but they did all the attestation for us. So that made it a lot easier. The next question is culture shocks. Were there any culture shocks or differences to be mindful of? Yeah, but I don't think they're actually bad. I think some of them, there is not like road rage and stuff here. People are not supposed to shout at each other. People aren't swearing out in public. You don't drink like outside. You can't just, be having bottles of alcohol on the beach or anything like that. There's a zero tolerance to drinking and driving. There's things that I think are actually really positive as far as society goes in terms of keeping society a peaceful place, an enjoyable place. So they minimize those things as much as possible. And I've quite liked the difference in culture. Maybe for me, whether or not, I don't know, people have different views on it, but it's a bit more conservative and I do like that. So yeah, I guess for certain things, I don't think I have to be as on guard with being here than being in the UK. But, Ramadan, being here during Ramadan, that was a new experience, especially because a lot of the shops are closed. In terms of restaurants and things, like when you're out and about in town, it does depend on the areas. If you're in a tourist area, it's actually fine. But there are some places where you go and the restaurants don't open till later and things like that. So that was quite interesting. I've heard that it's got a lot more lenient over the years, though. I've heard that this is like really, really, normal living as far as people are concerned. From a work perspective, we kind of limit food to the canteens during Ramadan. So you don't eat at your desk. You don't have things walking around eating as you're like walking around and stuff. You kind of respect other people that are observing that time. So you kind of, keep food in one place, but it doesn't really impact you because you can eat whenever you want, if you know what I mean. So yeah, nothing crazy in terms of culture shocks. Just getting used to being in the desert, really, and the heat. The heat has been something this summer. It's been hot. And even with all the heat, I still much prefer being here than where I was. So that's saying something, because it has been like pushing 50 degrees at times. So it's crazy. Second to last question, typical day, working hours, social life. When you first move over, if you've got a family, the social life thing doesn't really start until you've settled in. I feel like you need at least 6 months to like find your feet, settle in, make sure the kids are settled, make sure you know where you're actually living. You've moved into that long-term rental now, not short-term anymore. And you're figuring out, where's my local this, where's my local that? How do I get in and out of town? I've secured myself a car, long-term, all of those bits and bobs that you kind of need to sort out. So on the social life part, I'm only just starting to live my life, people, okay? But the typical working day is like a normal, here it's sort of 8:30 to 5:30. I think a lot of places are 8:30 to 5:30. On Fridays, a lot of companies close early because of prayer time and things like that. And if you are Muslim or if you are of certain cultures and you do observe it, then I think you have more flexibility around that. There are obviously international companies here that may not observe it as much, but definitely by 4 o'clock on a Friday, majority of people are not working anymore. So that's good. And the weekends are Saturday and Sunday, which I heard changed just before I came. So that wasn't a change for me anyway. And the last question was securing childcare, nanny, domestic help. This I feel like I'm going to do a whole separate video on. Because it will make this video too long, but we need to talk about it. We will get into it. I do have a nanny now, the second one, and it's going great. I'm going to do a separate video and really break that down. So I hope that you found this video useful. If there are any other questions that you have, any other concerns, any advice that you need, then please feel free to comment, reach out to me. Please like and subscribe so I can keep giving you more content, and hopefully this will help some of you in making the huge decision to relocate your life. But I encourage you to just do it. It's been amazing so far, and I can imagine it will only continue to get better. Life is what you make it after all. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you soon. Thanks so much for watching this video, and please stay tuned for part 2 because I'm going to be talking all things securing a nanny and childcare, our experiences so far in Dubai.